We're going to go ahead and begin with our open session agenda. We're going to have citizens' comments. We're going to talk about a promotion, a couple of appointments, and a presentation by myself. At this time, are there any citizens' comments?
Good evening, Mayor.
You need the microphone here.
Get the microphone.
My name is Dr. Jerry Brown. I address 1390 State Route F in Waynesville. First thing, I'd like to thank the city for finally getting their city event calendar updated so we know when these meetings are being held. That was something that wasn't on there for quite a few minutes. So I didn't think I brought it up one time before, and that was taken care of. The things I have to discuss tonight is proposed ordinance, House Bill 2024-6. Was there ever any public discussion and any open forum or meeting discussing this proposed ordinance?
It's happening tonight.
Okay, that doesn't give the community very much time to make an adjustment or thoughts about this particular ordinance. If you're only giving us basically 24 hours to look at this.
Okay.
And the fact that, we got another $25,000 we can spend, that's pretty nice.
Is it $25,000?
Hey, what are your questions? That's your
Well,
question?
that's the first one.
Okay.
Was there any information besides tonight that the city or any citizen in this town were aware of this extra amount of money being spent? The second thing is proposed ordinance 2024-09. It says there also in Exhibit A. There is no Exhibit A in this packet I've got. Also, proposed ordinance 2024-11 also states Exhibit A. There's no Exhibit A in there. How can I fulfill my information if the exhibits aren't provided for these particular ordinances? And that's what I've got to discuss, is the fact that, was there any discussion prior to tonight on some of these things? Doesn't sound like you're really giving much information to the community.
We can give information now. I talked to you earlier on the phone.
That's right.
You said there would only be talked about 5 or 6 minutes about paying the city council and the mayor. I'll answer your question if you'd like me to. The pay for the city council and the mayor currently gets paid $300 a month, correct?
You
You were the mayor,
yes.
right? $300 a month. And we have proposed that the mayor gets paid how much a month? $500 a month. So that's a pay raise of $200 for the mayor. And the city council, how much did we say we were going to pay them? $200 a month. So I'll say this. First, I want to start it by nobody that is voting for any of that tonight will ever get that paycheck until they're reelected or appointed. The only people who will get that, basically I want to say nobody here is voting for their own pay raise. The only people who will get that is the ones that are elected in April, hence the reason it's at this meeting now, so the people who are coming in can get the paycheck before the next 2 years that they're up open. Okay? I would also like to add, is there anybody in this room that makes less than minimum wage? Because I'll say, we all go to 5 meetings a month at a minimum. That's not counting phone calls, that's not counting anything. Okay? Of those meetings, we spend anywhere between an hour and a half to 3 hours at those meetings. At $12.50, I would say, for our hourly pay, it's much more than $200. And I would assume that everybody who volunteers, gets paid, does whatever, would expect compensation for their time. I won't be here anymore. This is my last meeting. I didn't run again because it takes so much time to do this and answer the phone. I was on the phone with you 3 different times today. I was on the phone with other people 3 or 4 times a day over the same stuff. Mr. Williams calls me. I'm going to go over and get an armadillo out of his yard, right? I couldn't tell you how many calls about Sweeburg Road and Route 66 and those stupid manhole covers in Route 66. But we spend a lot of time doing this for free. We will do that. We're of an age to where we have jobs, we have a paycheck, we have everything else. There are others who will not. There are young people out there that would like to get into service that want to be paid for their time. We cannot pull those people. I don't want anybody to do it for the pay. But for $200, we are getting people who want to give their time. I personally think, I'll give you an instance. The commissioners for this county make $40,000 a year almost. Every single commissioner. We don't get paid at all. Nothing. So is there anybody out there that would think that I was wrong about we should pay people for their time? I understand that it first came up this meeting. We talked about it in closed session, finance and human resource meeting. I'm on that also. But, and it was said in there that we should take this to council. Otherwise, nobody will get paid for the next 2 to 3 years. Because I'll give you an instance. Ed Conley, he's not up for re-election. The person who takes his spot, we can pay. Rob Rice, I think he's up for re-election. Amanda Corn, she gets to stay here. She's going to do it for free for another year. Bill Farnham, he's going to do it free for another year. Trudy, free for another year. Whoever sits here, they can sit here. But we're not voting our own pay raise. With the exception of the mayor, I don't think he gets to vote. But that's the answer to that question. The other stuff, the Exhibit A's, I would hope that they put the exhibits up on the screen. Are we putting the exhibits up on the screen?
I was looking at the, and the two I marked that he asked questions about were 2024-09. And Exhibit A is provided in the packet as Exhibit A. Legal description.
And I hope I didn't drop any F-bombs, because I guess I have a habit of doing that. So, with those there, the exhibits aren't attached. The exhibits were presented in the committee meetings. If nobody knows, Waynesville runs off of committees. They run off of a committee system. Everything meets in committee, and then it comes to council later. The committees vote on those coming to council. If you would like to see it, I do think that we should possibly put it up there. Remember, all of those ordinances that are for rezoning of Hospital Road and the rezoning of, or the plat at,
Hospital Road and Summit.
is it in the Summit or is it down off the Sweetburg Road? It's in the Summit. They notified everybody within 185 feet of that for a public hearing, so they could come to a public hearing and let their voices be known. That's a legal thing that the city has to do. We get a lot of times where people never come to those public meetings and then come to this one and yell at us for what went on in that public meeting. In those public meetings, just so everybody knows, Channel 12 knows and everything else, in those public meetings, the developer or the engineer of that has to be present. They have to be present. So when something gets done and you get that, hey, I'm within 185 feet of that, come and give your complaints. I live in the Summit. I'm about tired of dodging stuff in my thing. I'm on the Cox's side, and it's a whole lot more development than what I wanted there. I had no choice in the matter. You have to remember that Summit's master plan goes all the way back to 2003. All of those sections of the Summit that was part of that master plan was contractually done to be rephased later. So it's hard for the city to do crazy stuff with it without spending a whole lot of money in a lawsuit. Did that answer any of the questions?
More than enough.
Thank you,
We're
sir.
discussing about the zoning. I always wanted to just know where the exhibits were.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. And I fully agree with you.
And then would that be available in paper form? Will that be available for me in paper form?
Absolutely.
All right, I'll check with it either tomorrow or next week. Thank you.
If we're voting on it tonight, we should probably go make some copies.
Well, I've got it on the slide.
Okay, got it on the slideshow.
Some of the exhibits
I don't
are.
know where to get the slideshow.
Are there any other citizens' comments?
Did I? Yeah. I didn't have one, did I?
Cecil got more airtime tonight. You got more airtime tonight. We're gonna let you get it off.
Oh, my God.
All right. So next we have a promotion for Corporal Mendez. John, you gonna take the,
Dan?
Try to get out of the picture. Can we pin to skin? Anyway.
Just remember, it's not official unless there's some blood.
that's a long
Oh,
one.
congratulations.
Well, thanks, Chief.
Can I have the family come up please for just a moment?
Outstanding officer. I think he gave me a ticket 2 years ago. And I deserved it.
All right, next on our agenda is appointment for planning and zoning for first, Ms. Twyla Cordry, and second, a reappointment of Ms. Twyla Cordry and Yvonne Reeves. Then we'll have Ms. Brandy as an appointment. I'll entertain a motion to reappoint Twyla Cordry. Ed is the motion. Second is Mr. Farnham. All in favor? Show of hands. All right, reappointment of Yvonne Reeves. I entertain a motion. Motion, Mr. Davis. Second, Mr. Conley. Show of hands. All in favor? And appointment of, I want to make sure I pronounce your last name right. Pfeiffer. All right. Appointment of Brandy Pfeiffer to Planning and Zoning Commission. I entertain a motion.
I'd like to make, I make too many.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Ms. Dills. Second by Mr. Rice. All in favor by show of hands? All right. Do we have her certificate here? I'll present you with your orders after this. Thank you for volunteering to serve in our community. I couldn't have said it better what Mr. Davis had mentioned earlier today about the work that our council members do. I mean, it is one of those things that they spend a lot of time learning, researching. Not only that, they have to research and learn before they go to the meetings so they can fulfill all that they do. They're not compensated for their travel. They're not compensated for the time, the many nights of staying up late, those types of things. So one of the things I want to make sure that I do, and I kind of figured that Mr. Conley and Mr. Davis, that I consider this the last night meeting because April 2nd, things change.
I'm out like a sack in the dog.
So what I wanted to do is I wanted to present both, and I grabbed it from you because Mr. Conley has some assistants up here, and I don't want him to go down there. But for both of our council members, and I thought it was fitting, and again, we do a lot of great things here in our community, and I want to present, first of all, I'll go with Mr. Ed. I just want to say this real quick, because Mr. Ed, Mr. Wilson, and Mr. Bill. So those are like, if you're old enough, you know where those come from. But Ed Conley, he has been working in this community on the council since 2008. So 2008, as a council member, not only before that, he was a police officer, he was a DARE. He does a lot of things within the community. But I want to talk about his time here in our community as a councilman, getting no pay, but a lot of flack, right? Sometimes we're getting those calls late at night, get blamed for everything, and we have to sit up here and we have to smile, and then people can come in here and treat us any kind of way, but we got to stand here and still do the job and serve the same people that beat us up. So what I wanted to do was present Mr. Conley first with the Lifetime Achievement Volunteer Service ribbon, and this is signed by the President of the United States, and he will receive a pen. And I just want to say thank you for your stories and your mentorship here, especially in utilities. We're really appreciative of all the time that you have given to this city. So I want to present this to you this evening. I do have a pen for you. You don't want those. You got hit by a car.
I don't want your card.
Yeah.
I do, have you seen his car?
And this is a pen, presidential pen. All right. That's it.
I guess I should say thank you, but I'm too overwhelmed. I don't think I have done nearly enough to deserve it. But I appreciate
I didn't
it.
mention that he was the Veteran of the Year in 2022. So you've done a lot to serve our nation and then come in here and serve the community. So don't diminish that. You've done a lot, you contributed a lot, and I learned a lot from you.
Again, thank you.
You're welcome. And then next is Mr. Davis, and we see his passion. We know his energy, and he has the same that as a former engineer first sergeant, sapper. I understand where the passion comes from because they're leading from the front. Sappers lead the way. But Mr. Davis, he's been serving here in the community on the planning and zoning since 2012. Then he also was appointed as a council member and then was elected as a council member. So given his time, and he'll tell you his story about how he got started here in our community on planning and zoning, is because he wanted to be a part of a team, right?
Exactly it.
He wanted to come and fix things. And then he found out how things worked. And then he became an advocate for what truth stands for. He stood by his convictions when he made his decisions, and he would support and he was serving the people. But I wish that the community would come to a point of understanding that we have some excellent leaders, and Mr. Davis is an excellent leader, bivocational, meaning he works a day job and then still comes home to do this in the evening. So he sacrificed a lot, not only for us as a city, his family experienced that sacrifice as well. So I wanted to present this because that's one of the reasons why we wanted to make sure that they got paid, because believe it or not, we're the only ones that's not getting paid, this city. And I think that they should have something in their pocket to say, we appreciate your time. So with that said, I want to present Mr. Cecil Davis with the Outstanding Volunteer. And this is for volunteer, not for compensation. Even though his organization, his business, he donates to many other initiatives in the city. He just recently donated and pledged to donate to the Frisbee course, the disc golf course. All right. So that's something to be said about his character and his commitment. It's not only with his mouth, but it's with his hands. And his hands has money in it. Sometimes it's just dirt from all the work. But I want to say thank you. Thank you for your time, and I'm glad.
Can we get one signed by a different president?
Yeah, you can. Just, hey, I'll appoint you to the empty seat. And then you can go from there.
So, for everybody to know how I ended up here, is I was trying to build a third garage on my house in the Summit in 2009. I walked into the city, and the city was so rude to me in the planning department that I walked into the city hall that used to be right in front of the building department. And I looked at Mayor Hardman and I was like, is there something I can do in this city to make a difference? She's like, oh, I've got a slot on the Planning and Zoning Committee. And that's how I ended up here. It's been a long time. I would keep doing it, but I have a new granddaughter. Congratulations. And she needs my time.
All right, with that said, we'll move on to our city administrator's report. Mr. Doyle?
Starting with, yeah, just the arrow, just hit the side arrow. Waynesville Park Board, discussion topics, some of those included the Kids to Park Day on June 1st, and the next scheduled meeting for the Park Board's April 11th here at City Hall. Utility Committee was held March 4th. One of the major discussions there, and I think an important discussion there, was the time of use metering and what that consisted of, and the need for it within the community, within the city of Waynesville, and also the uses of time of use for the community and the utility users within the city of Waynesville. And on the screen, there's a couple examples given showing a summertime and a wintertime peak time of use. The way that the city is being billed for electric is starting to change, and we've been discussing this for maybe a year now, very heavily in utility and some at council. And we've talked about tantalus metering, we've talked about smart city, smart metering. It all boils down to the time of use, and we're trying to mitigate that to where the utility bills become more of a function of the user, the residential or commercial user, end user, than it is a function of really the city, NPUA, and who provides that power. And by providing these graphs on a daily basis allows for the user to plan for the time of use of possibly appliances or things like that. So for example, if you look on the red and orange graph there, it's a circle graph, where you see the very dark red, that is the most expensive time that the city is being charged for that electric.
Is that considered the peak use?
Yes, yeah. It would be the peak hour cost, which lines up typically with a peak demand expected at that date. And we get these every day. The city of Waynesville receives an email every day on what the cost of electric will be tomorrow and the times of that cost, to which we, when fully deployed, and this is something that, again, we've been planning for a year, but full deployment would not happen for another possibly 3 years. But I think this is a tool that can be used by all of us. The city of Waynesville is actually already using this to try to monitor and change the time that we run our wells, the times that we run our oxidation ditch. We can shut that down during our peak hourly demand and save electric cost to the city. So we started implementing this well in advance of others, just to see what kind of improvement, what kind of savings would truly be out there if you started planning your day around these graphs as they become available. Again, the full time of use or demand metering will not be implemented until Tantalus is fully deployed, and we expect that to be within the next 3 years to have full deployment of that system. Next slide. Next utility committee is scheduled for April 1st here at Waynesville City Hall. Economic development was held March 4th with business spotlight being Rinky Tax Service located at 100 Historic Route 66. Economic development discussed the coming business of Domino's Pizza, which will be located along I-Court Avenue in Waynesville. And we just recently have received a site plan for that. Review of this plan is ongoing within the city. Next economic development meeting is scheduled for April 1st at City Hall at 5 o'clock. Roads and Grounds Committee, we have expanded the use of our diamond maps, and we began staff training, roads and grounds staff training for mapping features that they would be interested in mapping, which could include and does include storm inlets, crosswalks, snow routes, school bus stops, intersections, and they have began training in Diamond Maps on how to create their map and what they want the roads and grounds map to look like. And we kind of gave a little brief to that committee as far as how those mapping features work and how that map will be built by the staff within the city. Next meeting for Roads and Grounds scheduled for April 2nd at 4 o'clock. Emergency Services and Police Committee was held March 7th with Waynesville Central Dispatch giving an update. The update there was struggles with the internet. Next slide. And our connectivity issues still exist within City Hall and Police Department and other places within the community. We're hearing that there are internet issues, and we're fully aware that there are upgrades within our community ongoing. So we are working through that, and hopefully we'll make it past that soon. Police Department advertised positions. We do have a patrolman position open. And corporal promotion, Joy Mendez, which we just seen, and I don't know, I think he left, and his family. I wanted to kind of brag on Joy Mendez, Brian Moore, and Lynn Bays. Those were the three corporals, three officers who applied for the corporal position. I will tell you that there was rigorous testing, interviews, and all three gentlemen did very well. They scored very high. It was very competitive, but Joy was the best selection for that position, and I'm very impressed with his interviewing skills, and I was very impressed with his test scores. Again, I wasn't on the interview committee. We actually have a hiring and promotional process within the police department, separate of the city, and there was in that policy there are requirements that they go through. But I will tell you that Joy Mendez scored very, very high, and I think he will do the city very well, and you will be proud of him. The next meeting is scheduled again for April 4th at 3:30 at Waynesville City Hall. Finance and Human Resources was held March 7th, 2024. The 23 audit. Preliminary audit has already been completed, and it was January 22nd. The on-site audit, the preliminary audit, is a virtual audit to where they ask questions virtually and ask for documentation virtually that we provide them, and then they do an on-site visit. It's a week-long visit, and that is scheduled April 1st through April 5th. This also coincides with some of our committee meetings, to which we may hold those in the council chambers and set something up here, as typically the audit is taken, that they utilize the conference room where we generally hold those meetings. So we will probably host those all meetings next month in council chambers. We began a management coaching with leadership staff within the city. This coaching was provided by a gentleman named Jesse DeGraffenreid, who took some of our supervisors and began working with them and training them and giving them ideas on how to become a more effective leader, and how to work with staff, sometimes difficult staff situations. And this happened in the past week, 2 weeks, and we were able to, in that time frame, cycle through almost all of our supervisory staff, both I would say tenure supervisors as well as new supervisors. Finance and Human Resources also reviewed the CID, which is something that we watch closely. This year it is doing, again, well. All indications going in out of the first quarter into the second quarter. We again seem to be on pace to meet or exceed the last couple years, which were record years, so that's always encouraging. The next meeting is scheduled again for April 4th. Here at City Hall. Planning and Zoning, we have open public hearing. Held 2 open public hearings. One was a rezoning request from R1 to MU2 at 1000 Hospital Road. The other was a rezoning request from R1 to R3 for property located at Section 23, Township 36 North, Range 12 West. Action items for the council to consider include the rezoning for 1000 Hospital Road and Section 23, Township 36 North, Range 12 West. Both of these were approved with conditions, and I am probably sure we can discuss those conditions as we consider those ordinances. The next Planning and Zoning meeting is scheduled for April 9th here in council chambers. And then special events, again, as we're tracking this spring, obviously our parks will be filled with activities. Some of those best sapper competition, again, excited for that to come back to Waynesville and the parks. We got the Walnut Hills Kids to Park Day, a lot of things going on.
Any questions for the city administrator, Mr. Doyle? Okay, tonight we have on council discussion list is the, I'm going to defer to subparagraph alpha to Mr. Doyle.
So, Pulaski County Sewer District's on council discussion. We've had a lot of discussion in meetings, committees. We are still working with the Pulaski County Sewer District on several agreements and options, to include connection details, bulk use rate. We have a lot of things going on with them, and all of those are still in negotiations with the city, with city staff and their staff.
Okay. As far as rezoning Hospital Road, or the Hospital Road and Pinnacle at Summit, does anybody have any discussion points for
Pinnacle at Summit, I know really not very much about it. I'm looking in here for a picture of the section, but I can't find it in my packet. Because Pinnacle at the Summit is where Mark is currently putting it in, not where Alice Road and everything is, but further down to the left. Basketball. I don't even know if there is a basketball court. Basketball court down there?
There will be.
Oh, there will be, okay.
Yeah, it is.
So where are we talking about?
Why am
This is
I
the
not
question.
getting this? That's why. I will pull that up for you.
So are we talking about like where Keith Pritchard's side was before?
Yeah.
how many houses, or is it R2, R1, or R3? Which one is it?
R3, R1 to R3?
R1 to R3, so we're talking about putting an apartment complex down there.
No.
There's single dwellings with a basement apartment.
So some of the contingencies,
Yes, sir.
Doug, turn this off. It's back on now. Some of the contingencies on the from planning and zoning include the current use of the R3 zoning that is there now. So the discussion that was had with them here's the R3 zoning that is there now. Okay? So this is switchback down here. And this is what we call Sierra Circle. And if you've drove through there, this map's a little dated. It's not up to date fully. There's a road that connects here. You drive it every day. You're familiar with that intersection and the new paved road coming up the hill. Again, this is Sierra Circle. The one that is on was considered, the property that was considered planning and zoning at that point is here. And it's this property. Okay? This would be an extension of Sierra Circle coming out with a roadway exiting onto existing Reporter / Swedberg. And so when they considered the use of this property, it says any and all facilities located on the property must continue to be used as a, oh, that's the wrong one. Gotta get theirs out. That's it right there. Multifamily attached apartment buildings and or complexes are prohibited. So if you go to section 1A, one request by planning and zoning prior to forwarding their recommendation to council was section 1A. And the apartment complex was one that they did not approve as part of the use, okay? So the multifamily attached apartment buildings and or complexes are prohibited. So the type of construction that they were approving mirrors the type of construction that you see on Sierra Circle and Switchback.
Okay. So here's gonna be my issue, it's been my issue the whole time. Currently, right now, I live on 141 Mesa Drive. Whenever I moved up there, I knew that something was gonna get bigger. But my side has now grown by 140 houses. At 2 cars per household, you're obviously looking at, you know, quite a bit of traffic coming out. On Mark's side, there's another 60 houses, right? Not talking about the R2 that's built on Sierra Circle. But I'm talking Alice, Pinnacle, all that back there. Mark did cut a road down to Reporter Road to alleviate some of that traffic. Now the R2, I don't know how many houses is there, I don't remember. But that's at least another 100 cars. This will probably be another 150 to 200 cars. All dumping out onto Reporter Road and Swedberg Road with only 2 exits onto 66 at Swedberg and 1 at Elm. It's a crap ton of traffic there. I know I probably can't do anything about it because development is development. Sooner or later, we're gonna have to alleviate that traffic. MoDOT's gotta alleviate that traffic. We can't even do it.
Yes, sir. We talked to MoDOT last year, and we brought them down here for that issue. I could tell you their answer.
Put a circle in? That's MoDOT's
That-
answer for everything.
Actually, they did kind of communicate that they're not proactive in that way. Once the issue arises, then they become active. But we did communicate about the traffic circle possibly, or other roads, and that is, we do have communication with not only MoDOT, the engineer, but also Charles Bassett is working with us as well on the same issue. So we're all thinking the same. We got to kind of alleviate that, and we want to make sure that we do whatever we can to ease that. But it's a lot of different things in that plan. I mean, it all the way over to probably the high school side. That all of that is affected in this plan.
And to maybe elaborate a little more on that, Cecil, because you are right. This is something that we loaded MoDOT in a city vehicle, and we took a drive, and we were gone for 3 hours with MoDOT, because we wanted them to really get a grasp of the development that we're seeing, where it's at, and basically one exit, essentially. If you take Elm or if you take Sweetburg, you're not 200 foot from each other. You're all trying to fight to get out. So it's really the same traffic. And looking at that location, there was a lot of discussions. There's a lot of potential projects in that area with, discussions of a 100-year-old bridge. How long before it's replaced? What's that look like? Is it a signalized intersection at the west side of the bridge? Is it a circle? It is on their radar at this point. It is something that I can promise you after that meeting, they have taken back and started to figure out what that looks like. The key to getting them down here is I want them to drive down here at 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, and 8 in the morning. Get here. I want you here at 3:30 in the afternoon. You need to see the traffic that's generated by work and school, because that gives you the full view of what's going on. Another situation, so he had discussed, Commissioner Bassett, the county paved Reporter Road. Almost, there's 1 mile of Reporter Road that is not paved. And as that road continues to get paved, it's going to be utilized from possibly even Taylor Hills traffic cutting through T Highway coming in, and that even adds to that location to that point. And so we made them aware that as the plans for the county to repave Reporter Road, that last mile, then it's paved from T Highway all the way to Waynesville. And that will also generate more traffic. That traffic along through there will find its way to Waynesville. So they are for sure aware of our concerns. And they have absolutely recognized the fact that the traffic at Sweetburg and 66 will most likely triple in the next 2 years.
I mean, like I said, I understand the way it works, but it's just crazy to me.
Might be a good spot for another signal light.
How about a roundabout?
Yeah, MoDOT ain't putting it up. We can't get them to widen the road where come and go is so that the semis quit hitting the rail.
So any other comments?
Is there, have we been completely shut down on cutting the road in on the other side, on Cox's side?
So we can discuss that in the plating of Kurt's side. There were accommodations made. Now, if you look at this, what they call the summit, I mean, it's a large area. It even includes this. This is Summit over here. When the Summit was annexed in 1989, I believe, it was annexed in under a name called Ruby-Doo Hills Development. And it's much larger than what we know now. There's another large section of property here that is the Summit, okay? Now, you can only plan for so much in the future, and the current developers can only help you so much. So in the plating of this subdivision, this is actually the Cox side. This is just past you, Cecil. The city did acquire a roadway through here in that plat. We have a roadway right there in that plat. Okay?
We can only go to that property line. Beyond that property line is beyond what that developer currently owns and cannot plat the road to an existing public right-of-way. But I think that the accommodation for that in these plats is key. The Summit had a very narrow road right-of-way. So what I will say is the original Ruby-Doo Hills touch Swedberg Road in a very small spot, and that is Summit Pass. And so basically that led to one road going up to the summit or Ruby-Doo Hills. And with proper planning, we are starting to recognize, because we have other subdivisions, several other subdivisions with just one outlet. And over time, the city has recognized that is not a desirable design constraint. We want additional outlets, additional ingress, egress opportunities for the people that live in these subdivisions. So it all starts with the first step, and the first step is getting that easement to the next property. And as it develops, take it to the next property, and ultimate development allows for another connection to a roadway beyond just the Summit Pass, I guess.
Any other comments? Yes. Yes.
I comment on the 1000 Hospital Road.
Okay.
I know a lot about that. I live up there. I was born in that building like Bill was. My wife was too. We know the Piney Ridge remnants from that, which was horrible. I've had many interactions with them at my house. Don't want to dwell on that. I was here for the hearing. I understand your point. You guys have changed the people in there. Thank you. And the fence around the place with the razor wire, that's fine. I mean, it keeps them in, that's great.
It's not razor wire. But it is a nice fence, but no razor.
It is a nice fence. I understand there's gonna be more fencing, correct?
Sure.
Okay, because I know even with you guys, you've had a few problems getting out. They end up down by my house typically. Safety's the number one thing. I've talked to my neighbors, and that's their safety. Told them that, you know, new owners, new clients in there, things are better. And they're like, they want to hear it. So I just want to stress the safety part. That's all I can say.
Any other comments? Okay, if there's no further comments, we'll move on to the next item for consideration. We have several ordinances that were proposed. We'll begin with proposed ordinance HB 2024-06. Mr. Potts.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 2110, setting the salary of the mayor and establishing the salary of the city council of the city of Waynesville, Missouri, fixing an effective date. Second reading. An ordinance amending ordinance number 2110, setting the salary of the mayor and establishing the salary of the city council of the city of Waynesville, Missouri, fixing an effective date.
I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Motion, Mr. Farnham. Second, Mr. Conley.
That's okay. I've been called that for so many years, it's awful long.
Can I ask a couple questions?
A horse and a
Yeah,
horse.
As part of the discussion.
Go ahead.
Are our neighboring cities paying their city council members,
Yes.
such as St. Robert,
Yes.
Dixon? So we're not overstepping our boundaries.
Yeah.
Okay, my only question.
Go ahead.
I would just throw in, we represent 80 cities, and they're all paying. I don't know, you're the only ones that I've ever heard of that don't pay.
I've been doing this for free this long. You gonna come up with this sooner? I could have bought more chocolate from the world's finest chocolate.
Yes, you could.
Could have bought more Chick-fil-A.
Any other questions pertaining to this ordinance? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilman Conley,
Yes.
Councilman Rice,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dills,
Yes.
Councilman Davis,
Yes.
Councilman Farnum,
Yes.
All right, we have proposed ordinance HB 2024-07. Mr. Potts, please read.
First reading, an ordinance amending Title I, Government Provisions of the Municipal Code of the City of Waynesville, Missouri, establishing policy and procedure regarding the planning and permitting of special events held within the city limits of the City of Waynesville, Missouri, fixing an effective date. Second reading, an ordinance amending Title I, Government Provisions of the Municipal Code of the City of Waynesville, Missouri, establishing policy and procedure regarding the planning and permitting of special events held within the city limits of the City of Waynesville, Missouri, fixing an effective date.
Entertain a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Davis, second by Ms. Dills. Discussion.
I just want to make it clear for everybody, it's not really a question, it's kind of a statement. We already do this. We already help out Hogs and Frogs. We already help out Christmas on the Square. We all already do this, but the issue comes the legality of making sure that the city is legally able to do it with this and being able to track. This patrolman spends this much time blocking the traffic down there. This patrolman spends this much time blocking the traffic down here. And we have to have a way for the city to capture that, to make sure it is for those events, and that's the reason for this ordinance.
Any other comments? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilman Farnum,
Yes.
Councilman Davis,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dills,
Yes.
Councilman Rice,
Yes.
Councilman Conley,
Yes.
All right, next we have proposed ordinance HB 2024-08. Mr. Potts.
First reading, an ordinance changing zoning classification for certain real estate from R1 Single Family Residential to MU2 Mixed Use for property located at 1000 Hospital Road in Waynesville, Missouri, fixing an effective date. Second reading, an ordinance changing zoning classification for certain real estate from R1 Single Family Residential to MU2 Mixed Use for property located at 1000 Hospital Road in Waynesville, Missouri, fixing an effective date.
Motion.
Motion.
Mr. Conley, motion. Second. Mr. Farnum, discussion.
Should have been done a long time ago. I'm pretty sure that's been mixed use or commercial for quite some time.
Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilman Conley,
Yes.
Councilman Rice,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dills,
Yes.
Councilman Davis,
Yes.
Councilman Farnum,
Yes.
thank you.
Proposed ordinance HB 2024-09. Entertain a motion. I'm sorry. Mr. Potts.
First reading, an ordinance changing zoning classification for certain real estate from R1 Single Family Residential to R3. Okay, to R3 Multifamily Residential for property located within the Summit, fixing an effective date. Second reading, an ordinance changing zoning classification for certain real estate from R1 Single Family Residential to R3 Multifamily Residential for property located within the Summit, fixing an effective date.
Motion.
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Farnum. Second, Mr. Rice. Discussion.
This clear planning and zoning, and it's their recommendation, we approve it, correct?
Yes.
I'll say this, I believe Mark's gonna do the right thing. I believe Mark's gonna go up there, he's gonna build something tasteful like he did with the R2 district, also in an R3. My worry is what happens when Mark isn't there no more. That's my only worry. I know Mark's gonna do the right thing.
Any other comments? Okay, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilman Conley,
Yes.
Councilman Rice,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dills,
Yes.
Councilman Davis,
Yes.
Councilman Farnum,
Yes.
thank you.
Proposed ordinance HB 2024-10. Mr. Potts.
First reading, an ordinance authorizing the appointment of Smith and Turley, attorneys at law, as special counsel to provide legal services regarding lease negotiations for Forney Field, fixing an effective date. Second reading, An ordinance authorizing the appointment of Smith and Turley, attorneys at law, as special counsel to provide legal services regarding lease negotiations for Forney Field, fixing an effective date.
Entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Farnum's motion, second. Mr. Conley, discussion?
This, excuse me, he already represents the other half of the airport board, right?
That's correct.
And this is the only thing that he's gonna represent the city is the airport.
That's correct. And to kind of double up on this, Nathan also has reviewed this agreement, or this lease as well. Smith and Turley actually represent Co-USA, which we're familiar with what that is as well. But as these agreements, as these decisions are pending, this has to do obviously with the lease agreement for the terminal building that has been planned and for many years now, actually. As these lease agreements come up, I do forward them to Nathan, and Nathan spent a lot of time. I mean, this thing's several pages long, and he gave his review and comments, and we worked those into this review with Smith and Turley. But at the end of the day, the joint agreement with St. Robert kind of makes this a little more difficult, so it's unique. So we specifically define Smith and Turley to that use agreement, lease use agreement.
Any other comments? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilman Farnum?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dills?
Yes.
Councilman Rice?
Yes.
Councilman Conklin?
Yes.
Thank you.
Proposed ordinance HB 2024-11, Mr. Potts.
First reading, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Waynesville to execute a joint use agreement concerning Forney Army Airfield between the city of Waynesville, city of St. Robert, and the Fort Leonard Wood Military Installation, fixing an effective date. Second reading, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Waynesville to execute a joint use agreement concerning Forney Army Airfield between the city of Waynesville, city of St. Robert, and the Fort Leonard Wood Military Installation, fixing an effective date.
Motion?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Davis. Second.
Second.
Ms. Dills. Discussion? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilman Conley?
Yes.
Councilman Rice?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dills?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Farnum?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, next item is appointment to Ward 2 seat, the vacant Ward 2 seat, Don Hayden. You've seen his bio information there. I entertain a motion to appoint Don Hayden to the Ward 2 seat. Motion by Mr. Rice, second. Second by Mr. Davis. Any discussion or comments?
Oh, okay, so, as I understand it, he will be appointed for essentially a one-year term,
Yes,
okay?
it's unexpired, yeah.
So, can I suggest that you sign the ordinance on the salaries? Because otherwise, if you sign it after he's appointed, he won't get the salary for another year.
Okay. You have the ordinance, a copy of it there.
Huh.
The ordinance for the salary,
Yes.
good call.
That's why we pay him the big bucks.
Once in a while I wake up and think it's
We would have to amend that date.
before signature, in the salary ordinance of the city council and or mayor, there is an effective date given as April 1st, is that correct?
It is.
We would need to revisit that, amending that date.
Normally ordinances are, normally that phrase would say this ordinance is effective upon signature.
Okay.
I think that was put in there probably just for accounting purposes. So what I would suggest, since the mayor hasn't signed it, that you, by motion, amend the ordinance to change the effective date to upon signature,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
So we need,
Make a motion to amend the ordinance HB 2024-6 from effective April 1st to effective upon signature.
all right, second. Mr. Conley. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilman Conley?
Yes.
Councilman Rice?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dills?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Farnum?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. So do you have a copy of the ordinance or to sign it, and we still?
Is his number going to be posted online?
Who was that? Yes,
Don Hayden,
yes.
so he can get them Sweetburg phone calls.
So, at this point, there's no more discussion. Madam Clerk, call the roll for the appointment of Mr. Hayden.
Councilman Farnum?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dills?
Yes.
Councilman Rice?
Yes.
Councilman Conley?
Yes.
All right, so, Mr. Hayden, you can come join us up here.
You swallow now?
Yes.
Yeah. I've gotten more calls about Sweetburg Road with people mad while it's being fixed than I ever did when it was.
Okay.
Temporary.
Yes.
We got
Do you want to give a speech? You'll get time for that. Come on up here.
We got swearing in.
Oh, we got to swear. Yes, she has to swear.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. Okay. I, Don Hayden,
I, Don Hayden,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I possess the qualifications
that I possess the qualifications
prescribed by law for the office
prescribed by law for the office
of Councilman Ward 2,
of Councilman Ward 2,
and that I support
and that I support
the constitutions of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Missouri,
and the state of Missouri,
the provisions of all the laws
the provisions of all the laws
of the state affecting cities
of the state affecting cities
of the third class
of the third class
and the ordinances of the city of Waynesville.
and the ordinances of the city of Waynesville.
I shall faithfully conduct myself
I shall faithfully conduct myself
in office and respect the confidences
in office and respect the confidences
and information which comes into my possession.
and information which comes into my possession.
The next item on the agenda is the committee assignments. Entertain a motion to approve the committee assignments.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the committee assignments.
Second. Motion by Mr. Davis.
Minus my name.
Second by Mr. Davis.
Who made the motion?
Second. Motion by Mr. Davis, second by Mr. Rice. Any discussion at all?
How long is this for?
1 month.
That's what I thought.
All right. So, with that being said, we can vote by show of hands. Show of hands, all in favor? All right, so that passes. All right. We have council comments. We'll start with Mr. Conley.
Well, my term is drawing to an end very shortly. When I first came on this council, I had things that I wished to accomplish, or had to accomplish in the city. Unfortunately, some of those have not taken place. There are still buildings here that I wanted condemned and demolished in the dark ages, and they're still here. But I think the biggest disappointment I've had is with the Pulaski County Sewer District. My first appointment was to the Utility Committee, and I guess my last one was to the Utility Committee. And during that time, we have never been able to work out an honest and honorable agreement with the sewer district. And the people that suffer are the people the sewer district serves. And that was one thing I really hoped to accomplish, and I thought we had it done a year ago. Other than that, I'll pass it to the newbie. Anything you want to say? Tell a joke.
No. Well, first of all, thank you, Mayor, for asking me to do this. I grew up in as I said in my bio, I grew up in a kind of an atmosphere of service, and this is just a continuation of that. I think for me, it's kind of special that this seat was held by somebody that I knew. And so, I hope to continue the good work that the city's doing.
Thank you.
I want to welcome you to the committee, or the council. I want to say goodbye, well, on the council to Mr. Connell. Thank you for all your service. Got a little time left, which is good. Cecil, you too. Done a great job. Been in the middle of it. Rare form. Just want to thank you guys.
Ms. Steele?
I just want to say, welcome to the council, Mr. Hayden. And also remember, April 2nd is time to vote. And please, everybody get out there and vote. It's your right, and you need to vote. Thank you.
I know everybody likes to watch me on the news in the morning on Channel 12 after the city council meeting. I hear a lot of that stuff. It's been great. I love the city of Waynesville. I'll be around for quite some time. I am going to move to the county sooner or later, just so I can get away from neighbors, probably. Problem is finding somewhere in Lakeway that ain't got junkyards next to it sometimes. I'll tell you some of the things that we deal with all the time. I'm going to give you an example of one that kind of set me over the board and made my decision not to do this anymore outside of GG. That's my granddaughter's name. It's Genevieve. We're all French. So the manhole covers in Route 66. I probably got phone calls for almost a year, 3 times a week from the same person. That person called me complaining because MoDOT came in and they repaved the pavement and didn't put spacers in, and the manhole covers were 2 inches below the pavement. I must have called MoDOT so many times that when my phone number came up, they would answer it and say, "Hey Cecil, how you doing this week?" The day that MoDOT came to fix those manhole covers, that lady called me on the phone again. I was like, oh, she's calling me to thank me for the Route 66 being done. Would you believe she called me complaining about the traffic on Route 66? It was that day that I was like, you know what, I'm probably done being everybody's complaint department, bullseye arrow or whatever, and I made the decision that day. I don't regret the decision. I'll probably be back here. Mayor Wilson will probably try to horn-woggle me in there if he gets elected. Steve Lynch will probably try to horn-woggle me if he gets elected. But I want to spend some time with my granddaughter, so 3 or 4 years down the road, when she's past the terrible twos and everything, well, I might be back. But outside of that, love the city. I think that Mayor Wilson has been great for the city. I have nothing against Mr. Lynch. Mr. Lynch is a great guy also. But Mayor Wilson is great for the city. I think he's got the city's best interest at heart. And thank you for putting up with me. Sometimes I'm a little animated, sometimes a little aggravated, but thank you.
Mr. Farnham?
Well, I want to say thank you to Mr. Conley and to our quietest member on the board. A lot of experience, both of them have, a lot of knowledge, and going to miss them both. I mean, they worked hard at the job, and they really represented their constituents. So I hope whoever fills some of these seats up here has the same ideas in mind. Thank you all.
All right, I'm going to be short with this. I just want to say, first of all, I already expressed my gratitude for the service that Mr. Conley and Mr. Davis, and I was on, most of my committees was with Mr. Conley when I was a council member. But I'll tell you that the wealth of knowledge that these both gentlemen, they have, serving on other committees for extensive period of time, it takes a lot of time to learn the job that we have to do, a lot, because it's some things, some late nights, and doing some research, and you know, you get hit from all kind of, sometimes it's like interactions can be almost like you're arguing with people that really haven't got a full grasp about what we do. So we get a lot of complaints about things that we don't have the control over, and we're trying to explain that. But I want to say thank you to them again. With that being said, I want to commend the staff on their efforts to becoming better. Like, they're having coaching, mentoring leaders. We had now 3 staff members. We had the third one, I think this week, B. Everybody know who B is, right? She is now a certified municipal official through the Missouri Municipal League. When I started here, there was no one. I was the first for the certified municipal official and one of 22 of the advanced certified for the state, working with Missouri Municipal League. Now we have 1 council member and other ones that expressed that they want to go, and we have 3 city members. Ms. Brown and Jen Worth, they went up, they wanted to learn more information about getting better. So that's what I want to say, that you're taking the right steps forward with the staff and everything that you guys were doing this last couple of weeks. I was like, where are they at? And they're in there getting training or getting an interview, you know, learning some different things. But I want to say great job for those that didn't know that they were doing this stuff. They've been doing it for quite some time now, and they have improved a lot of systems. Also, I wanted to say, of course, again, with the voting that's coming up on April 2nd, make sure you get out and vote. We had 6,170 people that voted, or registered voters for our city, but we only had a 9.08% turnout in the last election with 557 people. And I don't think that's proper representation when it comes to voting for our leaders going forward. So I would just encourage everybody to participate, and make sure you go out there and you see that sign out there on I-Court Avenue. We got that billboard out there. It's talking about 3G. 3G is that get up, get registered, get up and go vote, right? We only got 2 Gs now, is get up and go vote. So we want people to get up, go vote, participate, and thank you again for everything that you do. This meeting is adjourned.